You're listening to Jonesy's Jukebox on KLOS. That was Bruce Springsteen, Thunder Road, live on Broadway. And then we had Free, a track called Rain. And it is 13 minutes after 12 bells. And it's nice and wet outside, and it's still heaving down. And I love it. And we're here with my guest, Davey Johnstone. The songs them too, and what a I would love that, because I'm good at tunes and melodies, terrible at lyrics.
Well, you should have heard Elton's lyrics
before.
I bet.
He
He wrote a great song. In fact, I tease him, occasionally about it. A song.
Attempt to do lyrics.
No, he just.
People in the audience say something, and I'll write some tune to it.
That's right.
An idea or something.
That's right. Well, he does slightly more. How should we say it? He wrote a wonderful song about Mother Teresa, God rest her soul, which was actually titled "The Lady with the Dish Rag on Her Head," and then he wrote another one about her called "Sandals in the Wind." And, so he does this kind of thing because he's so quick.
Yeah.
He's so fast that, and he writes a song a day probably like that.
Yeah.
He'll just come up with some. So he's already got that thing, but it's. He hasn't got a clue. So Bernie's, the way they met up, like you said, stars must have been aligned and. Just phenomenal. Really.
Is that ended, the Bernie?
No, Bernie was there last night. No, in fact, it's better than ever.
They still write then?
Yeah. In fact, Elton said last night, he was talking to Bernie after the show, and he said, you know what, I'm enjoying singing these songs that we wrote, in 1970 or 75, whatever. I'm enjoying singing them more now than I did back then even.
Yeah.
Which, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Because usually, you'll get a little bit cheesed off with doing the same songs.
Yeah.
But one of the beauties about our band is that we change it up every night. We change, and we like to jam a little bit and mess around with it.
Yeah.
And that, I think that keeps it all fresh.
Yeah. He has written songs with other people, like that Nikita. That Nikita, that wasn't Bernie, was it?
Nikita was Bernie, but at that period, he was writing with Gary Osborne, great songwriter. He wrote Blue Eyes with Gary and a couple of other songs with him. He was writing with Tim Rice because of the Lion King stuff.
Right.
And that went great. I mean, quite honestly, I think that Elton could write with anybody.
Yeah.
As long as he likes the lyric, what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
For example, we do a lot of stage theatrical plays. We've done, apart from the Lion King, we did Billy Elliot, and he used Lee Hall, the original writer of Billy Elliot. We used Lee to do all the lyrics for the songs, and Lee was going, well, I can't do that. I've never written a rock song. And he did all the lyrics for that.
Yeah.
And there's been several occasions like that. Right now we're in the middle of Devil Wears Prada, which is going to be, again, a musical theater piece. And there's a wonderful girl, which I'm sorry, her name escapes me right now, who's writing all the lyrics for it, and he's churning them out because he loves the way she writes.
Yeah.
So it's it's great.
So you've been with him for 47 years?
Yeah, long time. Yeah, I'd met him first when Gus asked me to play on, there was a song they were having trouble with on Madman Across the Water. It was the actual song, Madman.
Yeah.
And they'd tried a couple of guitar players, good mates, Mick Ronson, who was a dear friend of mine.
One of my favourite.
Oh, I love Mick. And Chris Bedding. Somebody else had tried about Michael Chapman, who's another dear friend of mine. So they tried it with them, and it just hadn't worked properly.
Yeah.
So Gus said, I think I know the guy you should use. And he called me in. And, yeah, he said, well, this is the thing. And he played me on piano. Can you do a guitar, version of that lick?
Yeah.
And I said, well, what about that? And I played it, and he went, that's it. And so we did that song that day. We did Tiny Dancer also that day in the studio. And we did Leave On. Those were the days which you will remember fondly when you did 3 or 4 songs a day.
Yeah.
Unlike today, unfortunately, or whatever. So it was really exciting. But he was a little quiet, shy guy when I met him. Very, very quiet. And
he weren't all flamboyant at that point, right?
totally quiet.
Jeans and whatnot.
Well, yeah, but he was just very, very timid, quiet, and just was there to do the tracks.
Yeah.
Because he's also very disciplined.
Yeah.
Also very organized.
Which is good.
Yeah. And but then, ironically, the next time I met him, which was about a week later, when I'd gotten the call, would you like to join the band? He had a touring band with him and Nigel Olsen and Dee Murray, who unfortunately has also left us. And I said, I'd love to. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into, because I was more of a folkie in those days. I was into Bert Jansch and John Redburn. Magna Carta was sort of like a folk rock thing. And Dave Swarbrick was a big mate. And all these guys who played in those kind of bands. Billy Connolly had the Humble Bums, and... So I had no clue what I was getting involved in.
Yeah.
But, I thought, why be a big fish in a small pond? I'm going to go for it.
I think you did the right choice.
I think maybe I did.
We're going to play Madman Across the Water. We're going to rate your guitar playing on this right now. We're here with Davey Johnstone. You're listening to Jonesy's Jukebox and KLOS. You're listening to Jonesy's Jukebox. KLOS with my guest, Davey Johnstone. That was Elton John, Madman Across the Water. And how are you, Davey?
I'm doing really good. That was fun hearing that old track. Fantastic. Yeah.
You're probably sick to death of it, right?
Actually, no.
You don't do that one live?
We occasionally do it live. It's probably going to make an appearance over the next couple of years, because the farewell tour is a total of 3 years, because we've got to go around the world again, play all the territories that have been so kind to us.
What makes you think it's a farewell tour, though? How many people?
Because they've said that, and that's the way they're announcing it.
Yeah, but how many times has that been said before?
Actually, this is it. He's retired a few times.
That's what I mean.
Oh, okay. But he never said, we're doing a farewell tour. He just said, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
No, this is the first time. And they're really, they put a lot into it, staging-wise, visuals. It's quite a special show.
Yeah. What do you think the most popular Elton John album is? Yellow Brick Road?
Yeah, I would say so. That's the one you see people waving in the audience more than anything. And, if somebody talks, they're having a chat, oh, I loved Yellow Brick Road. And that's amazing, because that, most people have it, like if you're in somebody's home and you'll see if they've still got vinyl or whatever, you'll see Yellow Brick Road, you'll see Dark Side of the Moon, you'll see Nevermind the Bollocks, you'll see... You'll see several albums that are kind of, that have made a huge impression on people over the years, and that's really special.
Yeah, I remember buying that Yellow Brick Road.
What? Nevermind the Bollocks.
I never bought that one. Stole a few, took them down to the You know.
Camden Market.
Yeah, I used to go down Virgin and get boxes of them when I was a naughty boy. Oh man! But yeah, no, I remember buying that. And what year did
What,
that
you
come out?
bought Yellow Brick Road?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed.
Don't tell anybody though. I
All
got an
right.
image to
Yeah.
maintain.
Of course, street cred.
What was that? 72?
73.
73.
Yeah, 16 days we made that double album.
That is amazing. I didn't realise that. 16 days.
Well, mainly because we would, we'd go into the studio and it'd usually be first or second take. When after Elton would write the song, after we got the lyric from Bernie, he would write the song. Usually in the breakfast room, we had a little setup with like electric piano and a guitar, and we'd sit and mess around with it.
What studio did you do this in?
At the Chateau de Orville in near Pontoise in France, and we did 3 albums there, I think.
Was this in the days of the tax thing? Is that why?
Yeah, well, that, but also we'd heard that it was a really cool studio. Plus, you could stay there.
Yeah.
It was a residential studio,
Yeah.
so it was. We thought, what a great idea, and we all went over there with friends and family and kids and whatever, and we just, set up shop. And one of the buildings was where the studio was. The other building was where everybody kept and ate dinner and all the rest of it. And it was nowhere near anywhere. So it was brilliant. It was in the middle of it. So you really got to just
focus.
This is what you did. You woke up in the morning, went down for breakfast. And I remember, when we'd be, spreading a baguette with whatever.
Yeah.
Elton would be over there with an electric piano and with a lyric, and he'd be writing a song. So we'd wander over, listen to the song, and then we'd go, well, let's go over and do it.
Yeah.
And we'd go over to the studio, and as I say, within 2 or 3 takes, sometimes the first take, we'd do the song. And interesting thing is, many people think that, they must have spent so long on getting these.
Yeah.
Not at all. It was 4 of us. That was it. And in those days, there was no synths.
Right.
There was maybe a Mellotron.
Yeah.
That was it. And a Farfisa organ or something,
Yeah.
That was what you had at your disposal, which was fine for me because being a bit of a multi-instrumentalist, I played mandolin and banjo and sitar and all kinds of shit.
Uh-oh.
All kinds of
He's so
instruments.
relaxed.
That's it. So I ended up doing most of the overdubs between me and Elton. That's what we did.
Yeah.
And then he would leave, and myself and D Murray, God bless him, and Nigel Olsen would do all the background vocals.
And you finished the album there, mixed and everything? Or did you mix
no,
it
Gus
somewhere
would
else?
usually go back to Trident or somewhere in London and mix it there.
Yeah.
But he'd have great roughs. The roughs were always killer. And also the engineers were a big part of what we did because we always wanted to do something weird, miking this stuff in a bizarre way. And we had people like Dave Henschel, who was also a great musician, and he added some stuff. In fact, he wrote the intro section to Funeral for a Friend.
Yeah.
And Ken Scott, who, a Beatles guy, and all these people. It was unreal. We had a lot of great people working with us.
And Bernie Taupin, when he just wrote the lyrics and he was gone, did he ever come down the studio?
He'd usually hang out, especially in the old days. Well, in fact, most albums he'd be around. Most albums he'd be there, and we'd be having lots of fun. And
did he chime in though with some of the lyrics, like after he's already written them?
Oh yeah. In fact, if Elton was always very. He would say, you know what, Bernie, it works better if I say and instead of the.
Yeah.
Here, or if and Bernie would go, I don't. I don't care, and they would, in fact, on the spot just change it. And if Bernie's not around these days, and a problem like that comes up where the meter isn't flowing right for Elton or whatever, he'll call Bernie up and, get his approval.
Good respect there, right?
It is. It's a bit, it's the way it should be, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I can't believe that took 16 days.
Yeah, it's a lot of songs too.
And it's not a theme, right? It's just random songs. But everyone thought it was a theme.
Exactly.
But it wasn't, really,
No,
right?
it was a double album because we had so many songs.
Yeah.
But then it became like, well, that actually works with that, and so let's do a concept album.
Yeah.
Everybody's influenced by Sgt. Pepper or stuff like that. But while we were doing that album, the most bizarre thing happened. John Lennon called up to talk to Elton and said, "Listen, I like what you guys are doing. I love your stuff, and as far as I'm concerned, you guys are doing the best stuff since us." And we're going like, this is one of the Beatles calling up and saying they like your stuff, and that kind of thing.
What did Elton say? Look, leave it out, mate. I'm busy. I'm doing an album here.
Yeah. He said, well, I won't say what he said. Yeah, no, it was one of them. It was that story.
Hilarious.
But no, we became good mates, and he started hanging out with us and on future tours, and then he recorded Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds with us at Caribou Ranch, which is another residential studio. And he was just such a great guy, great fun to work with. And in fact, we did he came on stage with us the last time ever.
Yeah.
In Thanksgiving in 1974. And we played this show that was insane. And he came on and did like 4 or 5 songs with us. And after the show, we were all like on cloud N, and Elton called me up and said, "Oh, great show." And we were staying at the Plaza at the time, which is a wonderful New York hotel.
In New York, yeah.
Yeah. And Elton was at the Sherry Netherland, and he calls me up and he says, great gig. That was unbelievable. And he said, "Listen, John's with me and he wants to come over and hang out, for a while. Is that okay?" And I said, "Nah, tell him to go away." And, and I said, "Of course it's okay. John Lennon, send him over."
Yeah.
And John and I proceeded to hang out for about 6 or 7 hours talking about music and stuff, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, yeah. It's always nice when somebody else that you respect has a nice thing to say about your music. And so, yeah.
I remember Saturday's All Right for Fighting.
Oh, wow.
I was a little glam guy at the time. I was like 15, 16. I remember being in this discotheque in Fulham, and I just kept asking the DJ to play it.
Right.
And I was on the dance floor. It was one of them songs that a good rocker,
I'm impressed. Thank you.
Yeah. Don't tell anybody, though.
No, I will.
We're here with Davey Johnstone, and we're going to play Funeral for a Friend. You're listening to Jonesy's Jukebox on KLOS. That was Elton John, A Funeral for a Friend / Love Lies Bleeding. And my guest is Davey Johnstone from the Elton John band, the band leader. How long have you been the band leader? Since the beginning, or did you have to work up to after just being a guitar player?
Several years.
Yeah.
And then somewhere along the line, he said, "Look, I need you to do that." In fact, he called me one day and said, he called me from London. I was in LA, and he called me and he said, "Look, I want to get a black bass player, black drummer, 3 big black girls, and a whole new band." And I'm going, okay. And that was around the time. This would be the late 80s or something. And he said, "This is, and I want you to look after the band and get it together for me." And so that's when it all started.
Yeah.
Probably round about 89, 90 or something like that.
Was that a lot more work for you?
Kind of, but it also allowed me, because I've been blessed with a really good musical memory.
You write music?
Yeah. And I've written about maybe 20 songs with Elton and Bernie, and mostly album cuts.
But I mean, do you read music?
Yeah. I my first instrument was violin at school.
Yeah.
and played in orchestras and that kind of thing. And also that gave me a slight edge, allowed me to go and to do sessions.
Yeah.
Because, in those days,
Yeah.
back in those days, you basically had to know how to read a chart or bluff it.
Yeah.
I did a lot of bluffing.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, that helped. But later on, it was like, he asked me to, get the band together. And as I say, I was blessed with this memory, so I could remember all the parts and remember stuff that he had no clue about. So yeah, it's been great. I've been able to use people from California. So if we ever need to do a rehearsal, I'll just tell them, meet me, come at center staging or something, and we'll plug for center staging. Great rehearsal complex, and we'll work it out there.
Yeah.
And I also have a surrogate Elton John. I have a mate of mine called Adam Chester, who's I've known for years, and he's a huge Elton fan, great singer and piano player. And I'll just call him up and say, learn this song, this song, this song, this song. I'll give him a list of about 25 songs and say, learn these songs. And he'll show up at rehearsal. Elton doesn't even have to come. And we just, hit it, bash it out for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And that's it. And then Elton shows up on the day of the first gig and runs through a few things, and that's it.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
So for Elton, it's a win-win, and for me, it is too, because I get to really get the band sounding great.
Yeah.
And it's been brilliant.
Nice one. We're going to visit the Duke. When we come back, we're here with my main man, Davey Johnstone. I'm going to say it in an English accent now. Davey Johnstone.
Sounds the same.
It does to me. We'll be back in a minute. Does that go on much longer?
That's it.
That was the end of the track?
Well, no, not when we were doing it, but...
That's what I mean.
It got really mental at the end of it. But, it was also... It was kind of being considered as a potential single. And I think it did come out, but it got top 5, I think.
Oh, no.
But Benny was the one that the record company picked, Benny and the Jets, from Yellow Brick Road, because...
That was a crossover song, basically.
Well, for some reason, they thought it was going to be a massive black record. And we were all going, what are you talking about? It's just a quirky little song. We had no clue.
Yeah.
And then Gus, when he mixed it, he added on Jimi Hendrix audience from the Isle of Wight.
Yeah.
And then these... gated hand claps and stumps, and before we knew it, it was like this huge hit. So from that day, Elton never argued with the record company. He said, "Go for it, whatever."
But still, Saturday Night is no.
Well, it's now probably the most popular. It's the last song in the set usually.
Live set,
of the live thing, and people just go nuts. They love it. Yeah.
I used to strut my stuff to that, man, down the discotheque.
I heard. I think I saw. Yeah, somebody saw you doing that down
the
there.
Platform Boots. I'd wait all night for them to play that song.
Must have been hard to pogo in Platform Boots.
Well, this was a little bit before pogo. This was like 73.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. It was some disco off in Fulham Road. What's the road that goes through?
Well, I knew the Half Moon or something like that.
I don't even remember the bloody name of it. I remember on a Friday night they had a disco in it. And they would play, glam stuff.
Right. Oh, okay.
And that was one of, that was...
I was probably touring at that point. We weren't allowed to go out to clubs then.
Yeah. But I loved it, man. I was...
I'm glad to hear that.
That was a big song for me at the time.
Well, that was a major guitar song because it was like, because Elton loves guitars. He loves guitars, and he was sitting in the control room, and every time he would say, "Add another guitar, add another guitar," and I kept adding more guitar tracks, and then when it gets to the little kind of solo break, what you call the solo break. We didn't want a noted guitar solo. We just wanted to be like a herd of rhinos coming towards you, So we added another 4 guitars in that part, and then different versions. And he said, more, you know, like, and I said, like, I think we got enough guitars, you know. I said, what about adding a Jerry Lee Lewis guitar, piano thing in the chorus? And he did, and that was basically it. We were done with that track. So, but yeah, one of my favorites still. It's
you never get bored playing it? Not
really, because, you know, the other thing is there's a lot of pretty odd changes in that song.
Sure.
It's not just a straightforward 3-chord song. There's a lot of changes in it. Now, we love it mainly because the audience are going nuts and they're loving it too, you know. Yeah.
So listen, you was pals with Frankie Miller, weren't you?
No, not really. I talked to him on the phone a couple of times because I got Elton to cut one of his songs. I heard one of his tracks, and this is only about maybe 7 or 8, maybe 10 years ago. But he had done this great song with the name escapes me right now, but it was a brilliant song. And the office had said they weren't interested in getting Elton to do it. But I heard it, and I said, oh shit, I'm going to send it to him. He said it again. That wasn't that. And I said, oh, I must send this to Elton. And I did. And he loved it. And he went in and did a vocal and played some piano on it. But I didn't actually know Frankie.
I thought someone told me you was a roommate with him.
No.
Back years, 100 years ago when...
Well, I guess it's possible because my memory's a bit dodgy way back then.
And with who's the other singer guy? He had a couple of hits.
A Scottish guy?
Yeah. But it sounds Irish, his name. Oh man, we went...
Floyd Vance? Oh no, he's Irish.
No, he's Scottish. Baker Street.
Oh, Jerry Rafferty.
Yeah.
Jerry was a great mate of mine. Because Billy Connolly was my real mate.
Right.
Connolly I've known since I was 15. Because, you know, he was on the folk scene. And great banjo player as well. And just, we remain dear friends to this day. And... you know, I just loved everything about him. In fact, we did a gig once. It was unforgettable. We did a gig opening for the Incredible String Band. And I loved them in those days. I was a complete hippie. Loved the Incredible String Band. They were playing in the Locarno in Glasgow.
The Locarno.
Yeah. So they were top of the bill. And the Humble Bums, which was Billy, it wasn't Jerry in those days. It was Billy's friend, Tam Harvey, who I think passed away. Jerry came a couple of years after that. But they were playing. And then me and my mate, Titch, from Edinburgh, we had a little thing together. We were playing together. And we were bottom of the bill. But I became close friends with Billy that day. And we've remained close friends to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Billy's an amazing guy.
Is he all right?
Well, you know, he has Parkinson's, and that's kind of slowed him down a bit, and I think it's stopped a lot of his touring things that he'd love to do. He's still fishing like a madman.
That's what
he loves
doing.
to fish. Oh, yeah, him and his boy Jamie love to fish.
Where's this, in Scotland?
No, in Florida. He's got a place in the Keys in Florida. And
so no Scottish salmon then?
Well, not anymore. He had a place in Scotland for several years, and now he's still got the apartment in New York, but he lives mainly, I think, in Florida. Yeah. One of the greatest people I've ever met, and one of the funniest without even trying. Which are the funniest guys?
Yeah, of course.
You know, just a brilliant guy.
And you're a big football fan, right?
I love football. I toyed with it like most of us when we're really into it as kids, you know, of being a professional footballer. I wanted to be, you know. Did
you play when you was a kid?
Oh, yeah. I played for Edinburgh schoolboys and then on to Scotland schoolboys. But then I discovered, you know, certain substances.
Yeah.
And liquid, you know, refreshment.
Yeah, refreshments.
And that ruined it right there and then. It was obvious, you know. And music was creeping in, and that was very conducive to, you know, any kind of refreshment I was into.
Yeah.
And so I enjoyed it to a great deal, but the football had to take a back seat. And what happened was, I started playing when I came down to London from Edinburgh. I started playing for the Melody Maker, and so I did play into my 20s a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, but not seriously, just for a good laugh. You know.
Did you have refreshments at halftime?
Of course. During the game, usually. We didn't have timeouts. We just go over at the sideline and have a can of Guinness or something.
Yeah. Why not?
Can I say Guinness on stage?
I think so.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hang on. Guinness. Nothing happened. Yeah, we're good.
Good.
So let's play some music. We're going to play some Frankie Miller.
Brilliant.
Jealous Guy. Have you heard this version?
Oh, yeah. Love it.
He has an amazing voice.
Love it.
Take it away, son.
One of the best Scottish singers.
You're listening to Jonesy's Jukebox on KLOS. That was Rod Stewart, Let Me Be Your Car, from the album Smiler, with Elton John on sharing vocals, I would say, and piano. Before that was Frankie Miller, Jealous Guy. And my guest is Davey Johnstone. How are you, Davey?
I'm doing good. Getting better.
Do people call you Dave?
Davey.
It's always Davey.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I know if somebody's bogus or not.
Yeah, if they call you Dave.
Yeah, if production office calls down and said, "Oh, we've got somebody who's asking for Dave," and I go,
Red
"Who's
flag.
that?"
Red flag.
Yeah, I've been called Davey since I was a kid. You know, my parents called me it. My soccer mates. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you follow football, but you don't really have a team. You just like watching anything.
Well, I'm a Hibs guy because, you know, that's the Hibernian, one of the Edinburgh teams. That was the team that my dad supported, and my family there left still are mad Hibs people. But obviously when I moved out of London, I became a Queen's Park Rangers fan because I lived just around the corner from Loftus Road.
Goldhawk Road?
Goldhawk Road. I lived in Goldhawk Road for 3 years.
Now, being a Scotsman...
That was Rodney Marsh's days.
Oh, I know. I used to go down there then.
My
school was around the corner, Christopher Wren.
Really?
Yeah. In White City Estate.
Yeah.
But did you ever go to the Cook's Pie Mash Up?
No, I never did.
Oh, man.
A Cook's Pie Mashup.
No.
What? It sounds good.
It's a name. Cook is a last name.
Okay.
It was Cook's, but it was Pie and Mash.
Oh, pie.
What did you think I said? Did you ever have pie and mash?
No, I thought you said a Cook's Pie Mashup.
I would love to cook some pie and mash up right now.
Sounds great.
I
love British food like that. Pub
pie
food.
and mash.
Yeah.
Okay. So you used to go down Shepherd's Bush Market?
Of course. I got a couple of great flowered shirts from Shepherd's Bush Market.
Yeah. I lived, just around the corner.
I could have got into some serious trouble there because it was when the mods... It was before the skinheads. It was when the mods were really happening. And
wow!
And I was a total hippie. I mean, I was the
they must have loved
Afghan coat, long hair, the whole thing, But I actually got on really well with a couple of the guys that lived there, and I used to drink at the Bush Hotel, even though I was only 17.
Yeah.
And they became friendly with me. So I was kind of protected.
Yeah. What year was this in? Like 65?
No,
that was skinhead days.
Yeah, this would be like later. I mean, we're talking 68, 69.
But didn't the mods come before the skinheads?
Yeah. But I mean, maybe the guys that hang around Shepherd's Bush were still really into the pork pie hats and the Ben Sherman shirts and the skinny ties. Well, yeah, but this was like before the complete...
Because I was a skinhead.
Right.
And I had short hair, and that was around 65. We used to listen to Blue Beat,
right,
and go down Queen's Park Rangers,
right,
and go into shops in Shepherd's Bush Market and run out with all the Ben Shermans and stuff.
Well, I got there when I was 17, so this would be 68.
Okay.
And it was still...
Yeah, it was still going.
Still happening. And Shepherd's Bush was a main hangout for the High Numbers,
the Who,
the Who, and just that whole thing. But I loved living there. I just loved living there, and Ironically, when I finally started making a bit of cash from playing on the folk circuit, I played with a guy called Noel Murphy, a wonderful Irish singer comedian who was just, I was in fits every night, and I'd play mandolin and banjo with him, and we played the length and breadth of Great Britain,
Yeah.
and we used to travel by train,
Yeah.
and we dread Saturday afternoons.
Oh, the football.
Oh shit! There it goes again.
There he goes, this guy.
Because,
he's
you
a
know-
hooligan with long hair.
Because you know, yeah, you can imagine it was quite taking your life in your hands.
Yeah.
You know,
Did you have long hair then?
long hair, Afghan coat. So you know, I was
Flowery.
an absolute target. But for some reason, I never got hassled. It's good. It's good.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
We're going to visit the Duke. When we come back, we'll hear my guest, Davey Johnstone. See you in a minute. You're listening to Jonesy's Jukebox, KLOS. That was Elton John. Pinball was a Tommy movie soundtrack. And before that was The Who. Well, the High Numbers. That later went on to be The Who. I'm the Face. We're here with my guest, Davey Johnstone. Hi, Davey.
How you doing, Steve?
Great. What was we going to talk about?
I don't know.
You're like me. I forget. I think I've got this great thing to talk about when we go on.
Oh, we should probably mention the tour that
Oh, yeah.
we're doing.
Yeah, there's a couple of, if you want to say them ones. Yeah.
I can't. I didn't bring my
Okay,
readers.
let me do it. It's okay. 2 more shows at the Forum
Christ.
this Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
Did you know
Thanks
that?
for letting me know.
Did you know?
I'll get ready.
And then you're returning to the Honda Center in Anaheim, September 10th and 11th.
Wow. Well, between the Forum and the Honda Center, there's about another 100 shows. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you playing then? Where are you going? Do you know where you're going?
No idea. I've made it my new MO is not to know where I'm going more than 3 or 4 days ahead, because it otherwise you get anxious about stuff, like, oh Christ, I've got to go here, I've got to go there. I just don't want to know.
You must have it down to a T, though, as far as bringing suitcases and someone. You probably fly large, right?
Yeah, we usually fly with Elton if we're doing a tour like this where we're in and out, reasonably close places, hour and a half, 2 hours maximum flight time.
Yeah.
But if we're flying abroad or whatever, back to the UK or wherever we might be going, usually, the band will go, business first or whatever, just commercial.
Business?
Well,
Commercial?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I love it. It's great. You get to lie down. But
In commercial?
yeah.
You're bleeding pushing the plane. What are you talking about? Up front. Got to go left when you go on the plane. Never go right.
Never go right. No, we don't go right. When you're in business, you normally go left as well. Well, whatever. It's all good fun. They look after us quite well. They look after us well, and this tour is going remarkably. I mean, so well. People are loving it, and we're enjoying it. Which is, hey, that's half the battle. If you're enjoying what you're doing, how can you beat that?
How long's the set?
Too long. 2 hours 45 minutes.
Ah!
It's a long one. Yeah, it's a long one. But again, it's a deep catalogue. There's a lot of songs,
Yeah.
and a lot of people want to hear.
Yeah.
If we don't play one of their favourites, they'll probably rip the joint apart or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Actually, most of our fans are probably too old to rip the joint apart.
Yeah.
But we are getting a lot of young people coming,
Yeah.
which is brilliant. We love that. It's just maybe they're understanding that this is the last time they've got a chance to see Elton and the band live, so they're coming. So it's brilliant, though. We've got a lot of young people.
I'm good for like hour and 15 and I'm done.
Well, then you better not come and see our show.
Or I'll just come for the last hour and 15.
We can work on that one.
The big grand farewell tour. I bet it's not the end. I'll put money on it. This is no bleeding farewell.
Well, Here's the dollar.
Okay. Hey, listen, mate. I appreciate you coming by.
Yes.
That was some great chit chat, and good luck on the rest of your tour.
Thank you.
And all the other tours that are going to happen probably.
Wow.
And
You.
Davey Johnstone, everybody.
Thank you, Jonesy.
That's great accent right there. We're going to play Harmony, one of the catchiest songs.
Very catchy
from
song.
Yellow Brick Road.
Beautiful song. And then we're going to have pie and mash.
Yeah, I don't say that. I wish, man. I wish. See you later.
Cheers.